Hi, everyone. In today's episode of Know Your Major podcast, we have with us Mr. Aryan Joshi, who is doing a double major at Brown University. Hi, Aryan.
Hi Rajiv, so how are you?
Thanks. I'm doing great. Hope same for you as well. Thanks for joining us. Why don't you start with your
You're welcome.
introduction instead of me trying to talk about? Why don't you
Of
help
course,
us
of
understand?
course. Hi, my name is Aryan. I am currently a third year at Brown University. I'm studying applied math, economics, and international public affairs. So I'm a double major, and I'm most likely going to be pursuing a career in finance. And I'm also a very big fan of cricket, and I've grown up playing cricket, and that's still very much a part of me.
Great. And you want to talk about the school as well? Just quick context.
Right, yeah. So Brown
No,
is
I mean
in
the
Croydon.
your schooling. Yes.
My high school, yeah.
Yeah.
I studied in Bangalore in Malayaditi International School from first grade to 12th grade. I did ICSC followed by ISC and was a STEM student throughout, did all the sciences up until 12th grade and sorry, till 10th grade, and then did physics, chem, math, and economics in 11th and 12th.
All right, perfect. Great. With that, let me quickly deep dive into the first question, right? So when you entered into the college, you had a specific major in mind, or did you decide later on?
So I didn't have a major in mind, but we did have to apply with one major. And I actually did apply with the inclination to do applied math economics.
Okay.
However, after coming to Brown, I decided that I wanted to give math a backseat and focus purely on economics. And so for initially started to pursue just an economics degree. I had thoughts in my first year that I might want to add computer science to it. So I took a couple of courses, didn't really enjoy it, stuck with economics. And then as I studied more economics and looked into career paths and trajectories, I found that finance was looking like the most viable as well as the most interesting option for me, which is why I decided to add applied math again. And I have been catching up on credits for those just because Brown offers a mathematical finance track in their applied math econ major. And so I'm keen to pursue that. And with regards to my second major, I actually did not ever plan on studying international relations. I came to Brown and I happened to take some courses which were foundations of international relations and some classes which were actually specifically geared towards India and its development history and how politics, society, and economics in India grew out. And it turns out that I had already done more than half the courses for the major after my first 2 years, which is why I decided to add that as a major. And even though I do love applied math economics and I'm very interested in finance, deep down I feel like international public affairs is very much where my passion lies, and the humanities are something that I've always wanted to explore. And starting in a very typical Indian board background, I don't think I had that opportunity. So I'm trying to make the most of it over here right now.
I agree with you completely. Even right now, I think about when I talk to a student who is doing IB or IGCSE and A level, the way they do humanities is very, very different than the way we have done
compared to
humanities in
us.
CBSE and ICSE, right?
Right, right.
And I think that's one of the reason why we never chose that stream, right? I'm glad you're thinking in that direction, because as interesting as what science or maths or any other subject is, right?
Definitely. I think it's a very beautiful subject and it genuinely brings out a lot of qualitative reasoning skills that I feel like people from a typically Indian education background would not have. And I
Right.
think learning how to express yourself has really come out in me after taking such courses.
Great. So how did you go about selecting your major, right? So you said you had some idea that you want to be around economics and maths. I'm assuming all the colleges wherever you have applied with pretty similar
Right.
major, right?
Yes.
So were there certain instances, influences that kind of made you take this call during your high school journey? And in which grade? Was it in 9? Was it in 10? Was it in 11 when you decided that you want to do something around economics and maths?
Right. So I think my story is slightly unique in the sense that the best learning that I got out of high school, after having done a complete STEM course through 9th and 10th, and after having done physics and chemistry in 11th and 12th, My greatest learning happened in 11th grade, where I realized that I'm not interested in the sciences and I want to study economics. I made a very crucial call just before 11th grade started to pick between biology and economics. Up until 10th grade, I was also pretty much gonna go either try to do medicine in India or become an engineer or something of that sort. But I felt like I should give economics a try, and it turns out that I had my favorite teacher in school was teaching economics, and I had a great time studying economics in 11th grade. Really caught my attention. I feel like with regards to math, it was almost like a byproduct of economics. I wouldn't say I'm very, very extremely passionate about math, but I do enjoy it. And I felt like I've always been reasonably good at it, which is why I think it's a good quantitative skill to have in my major. And that's why I made the decision to stick with it.
So if I've got it correctly, it's largely in grade 11th when you were kind of clear
Right.
about applying for this major. Great. And was there, any other influence? So you did talk about, you being taught by one of your favorite teacher, and that obviously had some influence. And I think I see that in very common across thread, saying that, we like this subject because we like that teacher, right? So I think
Of
that's a
course.
very common trend. But apart from that, did you try and figure out, are you really passionate about economics by doing some internship or by writing papers or something else? Any other activities you did outside of school?
Yeah, so I think this also like came almost alongside choosing economics, but I decided that when I was going to start applying to college, I wanted to write some research papers and I was thinking of areas in which I would like to do that. And I think nothing appealed to me as much as economics did. I felt like, especially going into 11th grade, having never studied economics in my life before, economics was always like this big term in my head, and I was like, oh, like money and finance, and I don't know what this is and I want to learn more about it. That was what caught my attention initially, and I definitely think having studied math helped me lean to more towards economics, which is why I started enjoying it in the first place. And so when it came to a decision about writing research papers just before, like the beginning of 12th grade, or even just like the one book that I would always carry home in 11th grade. I would always forget like my physics and chemistry books in school. I would never bring them home, but I would get that economics book home and I would always have it somewhere with me. And so I felt like it was almost as if it was a natural gravitation towards economics. Also, compounded with this whole like mystery idea behind it that, oh, I didn't have any idea about what economics is and, how do I study this thing? So that's what drew me in towards it. And once I got interested in it, I don't think my interest has ever left.
Now you are in college, right? So why don't you help us understand a little bit more how your experience been about economics, about maths, about international relation uh, at Brown, right? What all have you learned so
Right.
far? Yeah.
So I feel like my first 2 years primarily in the economics major were almost like foundation courses, just like started off with basic principles of economics, some intermediate level micro and macro thinking, and some, of course, like statistical analysis and probability from math plays a big part in economics. So the initial 2 years were just that. They felt a little bit dry, but always kind of interested in it. Like never found them dry enough to change a major or anything of that sort. And into my third year is when I actually started taking higher level economics courses. And so I kind of right now have chosen to pursue the more financy side of economics. There's also like a very large policy side that I'm also kind of interested in. But I do think that I want to study finance first. And so right now I'm just doing a bunch of courses about corporate finance, investments, Monte Carlo simulation with applications to finance, and just a bunch of applied math classes, which also factor into economics.
And did you have specific career goals in mind when you were selecting your major that, this is what probably I want to do? I want to be an investment banker 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line. And that lead you to take a particular major? Was there certain goals in mind?
So I think again, after school, I didn't ever actually think about what I would do after college. I think the only thing I really thought about was that, okay, I don't want to be a doctor and I don't want to be an engineer, and economics is something that appeals to me. I remember I had watched the TV show Suits, and Mike Ross starts as an investment banker, and then I was like, okay, this thing seems interesting, but that was always like a thing that I had at the back of my head, never really thought about it properly. So I did come to college without actually any specific career goal, but I feel like in that college environment, seeing friends, making friends in class who studied economics, seeing what they wanted to do after a while, I kind of realized that, okay, I don't think I want to do the policy side. Like I'm more inclined towards, math. I still feel like math is a big part of my skill set and I can do something with it, which is why I think finance brings that perfect intersection of math as well as computer skills like Excel and like modeling and basic coding, and that intersection with economics is where I happen to find my interest. And so that actually led me to start recruiting for finance internships, and I will be interning in the coming summer at Wells Fargo as an equities trader. And that's the internship I got. So I'm very excited. I'm very looking forward to that.
Nice. Is this your first internship, or have you done anything in the second and this first year as well?
So I have done multiple internships before, but this will be the first, I feel like, professional internship that I'll have, where I'm actually going to be in a different city in the office 6 days, 5 days a week. And, I'll be in New York, new place, new
Nice.
system, and excited to go in, figure out how that
Nice.
works.
More of a corporate setup. Good.
Yes,
to hear
yes.
that. Yeah. And I think that'll also give you more clarity from the perspective of, see, one is you liking the subject, and second is you liking the work environment or the work people are doing, right? So probably you'll see people around you and see, 5 year down the line, I could be this guy, or 10 year down the line, I could be this, or 15 year down the line, I could be this, right? In terms of the career trajectory and paths and so on, right? A lot of learnings, and I'm sure with a lot of questions as well, right? Thinking that, okay, this is what it is. And, now I know the path because, right now it's like similar to
Right.
economics, right? Where you're super enthusiastic about economics because you didn't know what this path will take you to, right? No, good to hear that. Try and take a step back and try and understand from a high school student perspective, right? So let's say, what advice would you give to a high school student who is probably in 9th or 10th or 11th, let's say, and trying to figure out that right fit major for them, right? Is there a particular process, method, or experiment that they should do to figure that out? Like, do you have any advice on that?
I feel like the first thing I wanted to say is that I know a lot of friends that I had, and I think just growing up in a place like India, you always have that certain amount of added pressure that, oh, you need to know what your next step is going to be. I definitely think for the people who are in ninth and 10th grade, like even if you haven't found your passion yet, it's completely all right. I personally think that like almost 11th grade, end of 11th grade actually is by when you should probably know what you want to at least study in college. It needn't be something you want to do for the rest of your life. It needn't even be your passion, but it's something that you find interesting, something that you can realistically see yourself pursuing for 4 years. So I think that the number one step in terms of that is whatever choice of subject you've been handed, because I know a lot of schools in India also, like many people don't end up getting all the subject choices that they want to. So I feel like in my case as well, like I don't know if I wanted to study physics and chem in 11th grade, but I did end up getting it because I thought it would be a safe route. Like if I ever wanted to fall back on engineering or any kind of STEM degree in India, I would always have that with me. But I think one thing that's the most essential for a high school kid to understand is that you give your best effort to those subjects in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Whether or not you like the subject matter, if you give an honest attempt towards studying those concepts, towards giving those tests properly and honestly, I feel like that'll at least help you understand and give you the clarity that, oh, okay, this is something that I don't like, this is something I don't want to do, this is something that I do like, it's something I'm interested in, I want to dive into it further. So that clarity, I feel like only the student himself or herself or themselves can get. And so that is one thing I'd say, like never leave any stone unturned, like give your best shot while you can, because you will want to at least know what you actually like to study by the time you're at the end of 11th grade.
Great. And how important do you think it is? I mean, you did mention that it's okay if you are not able to figure it out in ninth or in 10th or even by end of 11th. But how important do you think it is to have a fixed measure when you're applying instead of being undecided, right? Do you see any disadvantage in that? I mean, I'm sure you probably would have seen it around in your college. Do Brown allow students to apply as undecided major?
So they don't let you apply as undecided major, but they let you apply as whatever major. And a place like Brown, you can actually like I added international public affairs at the end of my second year. I added applied math at the end of last semester, and I'm in my third year. So I feel like a place like Brown obviously has much more flexible, options with it. Most places I feel in the US give you at least a year to decide what your major is. And so again, definitely if you're applying to a place like the US, you'll be fine. Like even if you are undecided, the least you can do in high school is just figure out like, okay, I remotely like economics, or remotely like physics, or I remotely like something. Even if it's the humanities, like I remotely like international relations. But there are again more rigid places. I feel like when you go to the UK, you enter as the major you selected. And that's why I feel like in those cases, it's important to at least realize by the end of high school that, okay, this is something that you need to know what you want to do. Like in my case, for the way I always thought about it is like, okay, I don't know what I want to do, but I definitely know what I don't want to do. And so like put those things aside and then like happen and discover more areas, like take those summer breaks after ninth grade, after 10th grade, after 11th grade. You don't have to do an internship, but just look into some kind of subjects that interest you, that pique your interest a little bit. Something that, excites you, makes you want to read more. And I definitely think reading is one thing that definitely helped me at least understand economics better. Started to read a few books, very basic books on, what economics is, how does the world work, what finance is, and, just pick up random books, start reading them. And I feel like that definitely gives me the clarity.
Just a quick bit of reflection, right? So looking back, is there anything else or is there anything that you would have done differently in selecting your major if at all given a chance now?
The only thing that I might have done differently, I feel, and I don't even know if this would still stand or not, but I think in ninth or 10th grade as an extra elective subject, we had a choice of picking between like physical education, computer science, economics, and a few other subjects. I actually picked physical education. I didn't pick economics and I didn't pick computer science. Back then, I don't think it was important to have picked economics. I just feel like with the way the world is moving right now, having some sort of background in computer science is always a good idea. Not that you need to study it in school. You can very easily do courses on Coursera. You can come to college and pick it up. You can also just do your own modules whenever you want to. But that's one skill where I feel like if maybe I had explored that earlier on in high school, I think I would see the value of it more right now, or I might just be better at doing it right now. I feel right now that maybe I don't think I started late. It just didn't like interest me in any way. But if I started back then, I feel like being a little more inclined towards computers, I might have wanted to do like a computer science and economics degree or something of that sort.
And this is interesting to know that in ICSC 9th and 10th, you have these elective options available, is it?
Yes, yes. I think they're like your like ninth or 10th subject or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But like our school, they give you clusters in every school.
Right.
And so in our school, we had a choice between, I think, art, physical education, computer science, economics, and one more, I forget, instruments.
Maybe
or
the idea
something.
was to give you a glimpse of what you will encounter in 11th and 12th and hence take a
Right.
call at that point of time, right? In what way do you think your college major that you have selected today has prepared you for your future, right? I mean, what sort of trajectories do you see happening, right? Finance is obviously one aspect that you talk about. What else, currently you are exploring?
So I think at least, well, starting with applied math in itself, I feel like we don't really, I feel like a criticism that almost every Indian board student may have is that they didn't learn enough application skills in their high school. I feel like myself, I felt like I got a very strong foundation in math, especially theoretical mathematics, by studying ICSC and ISC. And I think, coming to college, adding applied math, I I actually see those theories pan out in the real world. I actually apply them to the problems I solve today. And that's something that has always fascinated me, because I always used to think that when will I ever like use this theory? Like, what will I do with this? That definitely with applied math is that. With economics, I think I also just feel like economics is a subject that a lot of people needn't even study in college, but you should still at some level have a basic idea and understanding of it. A lot of people at college study math, computer science, physics, and end up working in finance just because they think that, okay, like the money is there, etc., and so on. But economics is something where understanding how a rational consumer thinks, understanding how what an economy is, how the economy functions, basics of the very, very basics of economics is something that I think has just molded me into a better thinker as well. I feel like I would have been a much more irrational thinker had it not been for economics, bringing down some of the logic in me, bringing out some of like the reasoning skills in me, understanding how the world actually works in a way is something that I feel economics has added. And then obviously with regards to international and public affairs, I think adding that humanities subject just has taught me how to better express myself as a human. It's not just in terms of academics, but genuinely in terms of like my interpersonal skills. Like I feel like that's something that helped me open up. Learning how to write papers, something that again a typical ICSC, ISC student wouldn't really know how to do. But like it took me time too. Like I was never able to get good grades on papers in the first year of college, but as you work through that process, you understand how to write, you understand how to reason. And I think it just makes you more effective at communication, better at understanding other people, and clearer with your own personality and with your own skills.
Great. I think we are towards the end. I think I wanted to understand a little bit of your final thoughts on, is there anything that you would like to advise a high school student, irrespective of the major? I know, so far we have spoken about the major itself, but any student who is currently looking to go out, whether it's US, UK, Canada, any advice that you want to give to these students?
I definitely think that one thing is like obviously like enjoy your time in school. It's like one of the best times in life. Like actually have fun with your friends, do whatever you want, but also try to make a conscious effort towards studying. Don't just slack off. Like even if you're doing the bare minimum, at least do the bare minimum and study. At least be honest with yourself, if not with anybody else, if not with your academics. Be honest with yourself in the sense that this is like I feel like one perspective which I realize now, which I didn't have then, is that as a ninth or 10th grade student, I needed to realize that okay, in 2 years, I'm going to be at a college and I'm going to be alone. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have like five high school teachers spoon feeding me stuff. I'm not going to have my parents spoon feeding me. I need to figure this out on my own. And there will come a point, regardless of however dependent you may be on your support system, there will come a point where I feel like everybody realizes that there is this journey that you need to embark on, which is in a way finding your passion. I still don't even think that economics or finance is my passion. I definitely know that like cricket has always been my passion, sports have always been my passion. And what that leads me to now and the way I'm thinking about it now is that I eventually would want to come back to India and do something in like sports capital, sports market, something of that sort. And so, had it not been for actually studying economics, I would not have, I think, gotten that realization. And so, it is definitely important to give yourself an honest shot when you're in high school. Also, because it's definitely the easiest time to pick up and learn things. Like when you're a high school student, just the way you function, I feel like because you don't have your preferences so set in life already. You don't have those like settled down thoughts in you. So you always are open to learning more and make the most use of it, is what I'd say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of good insights from this. I think what you have spoken about, and I think I've been interviewing a lot of students, and some of them are like, it's okay not to, I mean, enjoy it, but it's also okay if you don't have great grades. But the reality is that colleges are looking for grades, right? So I think it is super
Exactly.
important
And
without
you
hiding
need
that
that.
fact that, right, needless to say that colleges are very gung-ho about your academics, right? Because I think that shows the
Of course.
consistency. And, I've seen your journey. I kind of know your grades, right? I mean, how consistent they were, irrespective of whether in grade 11th you liked physics or not, but you continued to give your right efforts, right?
Exactly. I think that's one thing as a high school student, you need to realize that if you do want to get into a good college, they will look at your scores,
Yeah.
regardless of however strong your application is, regardless of however good a writer you are. If you're coming from India, they will make you take an SAT. You need to get a high score in the SAT. And again, the fundamentals that the SAT tests you on are math and English, which is why I always say math is such an important skill to have. Just
Yeah.
the basic level of math you need to enter any college. And so yeah, grades are important. And I'm not saying there's no like scope for getting a bad grade. I've gotten bad grades in school too. But the fact that you need to try to improve on them and give it a good shot, that is what I think colleges actually might be looking out for in your resume and your application.
No, we didn't have this question in my questionnaire, but I still wanted to ask this question. So I'm sure you would have friends who have done like, A levels or IB and currently pursuing this course with you, right? Do you have any idea how many credits did they get for the IB courses that they did? Have you
So
ever spoken about that?
honestly, they just placed out of like one economics course, I think. They just
That's
placed
it.
out of
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one economics course. In terms of math, also, like I did calculus BC, which is why I placed out of an introductory math course.
Correct.
But again, APs are a great thing if you have time over the summer. Definitely give at least maybe a math and an economics AP, like at the least, I would say. Not just because I'm studying that, but because I feel like a lot of subjects in college require a basic math level that you need to enter with. So get that out of the way at least, even if not the econ one.
Yeah, definitely. Great. Thanks, Aryan. Thanks for your time. I think it was pleasure talking to you after so long, but it was
Yes,
definitely
of
an
course,
insightful
anytime.
session.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you take care, and I'll be in touch with you as well.